There's a great inconsistency in the federal law, and certainly there are even more inconsistencies between the laws of the 50 states. I do feel that it's a prerogative of each state to legislate in the area of penalties as it sees fit. However, as far as the federal government is concerned, this administration and I certainly wholeheartedly endorse the principle of reducing the present federal penalties, first of all because I believe they're inequitable, but more importantly they're unenforceable. The existing federal law doesn't distinguish between the person who is in possession of a small quantity for his own use and a major smuggler, for example. Each is liable for the same sentence. And I think that that distinction has to be made. I think that we have to give allowance to a first offender and try to employ our best efforts to rehabilitate him or deter him from further violations of the law without imposing a penalty that's going to handicap him for the rest of his life.
Overcrowded conditions seem to be a way of life lately, not only for the prisoners in the Dallas County Jail, but also for the patients here at the Mental Evaluation Center. So far this year, 12 patients awaiting transfer to hospitals have had to be sent to the county jail because there just wasn't enough room here at the center. I talked with Bill Watkins of the Mental Evaluation Center and Mental Illness Court about the problem. Bill, how big a problem is this?
It's a growing problem, Carl. We've had roughly this year a third again as many patients in a 3-month period as we had last year. With the problem of drugs increasing daily with teenagers, and our problems are increasing daily up here with teenagers coming into the center.
Now, with more teenagers coming in, do we need a separate facility?
There is a facility needed somewhere for them because all of these psychiatric hospitals are crowded and overflowing with teenagers with drug problems.
The center was opened as a temporary facility in 1967, after Channel 8 News revealed to the public that mental patients were being housed with a common criminal in the county jail. County Judge Lou Sterrett says the present facility here on the 5th floor of the old county jail can be expanded, but feels that a war on drugs on the school campuses will lighten the problem. The fact is, the center is overcrowded, and before long, many patients, some of them teenagers, will have to be transferred to the county jail once again before the county commissioners can dig up enough money sometime next year for an expansion. This is Carl Mayo, Channel 8 News.
They'll be a very valuable addition to the field forces in that they will be a supplement to the field forces in patrol activities.
Now, exactly what is the addition of these 2 copters going to mean to the efficiency of the department?
Well, we feel that the efficiency of the department in terms of crime-fighting techniques will be enhanced greatly with the addition of these 2 helicopters. A helicopter can effectively patrol about 7.5 square miles per hour, whereas a ground force or a car can patrol effectively about a square mile. So it enhances the value of patrol activities in that we can cover much more territory, much more area with these helicopters than we can with a ground element.
Now, is there any plans in the future coming up for more helicopters?
Well, we want to get into full operation with these 3 machines and determine then whether or not more will be needed in the future. And if that proves to be the case, then we will be asking for more. But at this time, we're going to test these 3 to see how effective it will be and whether or not we will need more in the future.
Well, the purpose of the neighborhood meetings is to inform the people what is on the actual bond issue as of now. This bond issue is not a set issue yet. The City Council has not passed anything. We hope to have people ask questions. We hope to have people maybe make suggestions for other things that might be necessary in our city.
Who will be there?
At the neighborhood meeting?
Yes.
Well, we always have at least 2 city councilmen. We haven't had the mayor there yet, but we sure hope that he can get rid of some of the things that he's having to do and show up maybe tonight or the next one.
Well, do you see yourself as being a glorified salesman for the bond issue, or are you more of an instructor?
Not at this time. Right now, these neighborhood meetings are purely informational. We're not selling anything. Our committee is purely moderating these meetings, getting the people out, and we hope we have a nice crowd at each one of them.
One of the things we find in some of the northern cities, and to greater and lesser degrees throughout the country, is an official segregation or separation of teachers. That is, you find a heavy preponderance of black teachers in schools which have a preponderance of black students, and the antithesis is true for white schools. Now, that is clearly in violation of law. The president denounced that and said that it must be changed, and that legal requirements there must be met. The second area where we sometimes find a discriminatory practice is in resource expenditures. The resources that are applied in the black schools in many situations are not equal to those which are applied in the white schools. And I think the president made clear in his statement that what we need to do is not only to equalize the expenditures so that all children are receiving fair and equal treatment of resource expenditures under the law, but that we must go beyond that when we talk about the problems of the disadvantaged child, to bring that child up so he in truth and in fact has an equal educational opportunity.
Well, don't you feel that the interchange possibly was planned so that there would be industrial development in that area?
They tell us, Carl, that they do not build interchanges or freeways for industry, that it is constructed for traffic on a traffic count that they have now, and they project some in the future. And they are not supposed to build highways for developers.
Now, you talked about having to beg every time we go down there to Austin, to the Highway Commission. I believe you said a little while earlier that that spur 244 was denied us. Why was that denied?
It was denied because a former highway commissioner didn't agree with something that one of our county commissioners done. So they took it out of the program. I'd like to mention also that the west leg of Loop 12 has been hanging in limbo for 22 years. It's the only area in the county that doesn't have a freeway.
Do you feel that we are dominated at present time by rural interests?
We are dominated by rural area interest. And I think that this right here proves that we are.
What's the difference between the motion that was passed and the substitute motion on
The list of organizations. The list of organizations which were worked out by a joint committee of Councilman, Mr. Whittington, and the target area representatives. It's a completely democratic action on the part of the two groups to come together, which they did, and pick these organizations.
How long did this take, and why did this come up?
All week long.
What is the difference between this and what's going on for the past 3 months?
Well, this is the Treaty of Versailles. We've just concluded the war.
What now? What about the bylaws committee, and how long will it take?
Ask Mr. Bromberg. It's going to take him. It's a technical business. It's got these provisions have to be written in technical language, and I would think that a couple of weeks ought to get that done, and hopefully we could get this group back together in 2 weeks.
Resolved that this board adopts the Lukey report, that the bylaws shall be formally drafted to implement said committee report, that such bylaws shall prescribe the organizations listed below from which the community sector representatives shall be elected, that such organizations shall be chosen in accordance with OEO guidelines, that such organizations shall be rotated from year to year consistent with OEO guidelines.
And I think this thing has dragged on long enough. The organizations on this list have been approved by the leaders of the target area. And whether we add these additional ones on there or whether we don't, make no difference to me. But I do suggest and heartily recommend that we vote on this and conclude it tonight. Thank you very much.
The middleman can utilize an FHA mortgage up to $33,000 mortgage amount, which the sale price of the house would perhaps be in excess of $35,000. And that money is available, and he's assured of fast processing with minimum red tape and so forth. So he's being helped. Really, the man who can't be reached by our programs is the man who needs and has to have housing. It's in excess of $35,000, and maybe he's not affluent enough to need a $75,000. But that person we aren't able to reach. Congress won't give us the authority to do it.
Mrs. Keene, what specific projects is your organization involved in here in Tarrant County?
Well, just recently I've contacted the utility companies in town and asked them if they would please put colored plastic tags on their meters as they are read, because this is one of the biggest consumer gripes and complaints a lot of times the consumer feels that his meter has not been read, therefore he has a tremendously high bill. And as of this time, I have not heard a definite answer from them.
What are some other projects?
We will be doing some comparison shopping in various grocery stores across town. As a matter of fact, we did last Wednesday, and I don't have the results of that yet because I have not spoken with everyone. But we did find that in some areas where I have spoken with people, that it was significantly higher in different sections of town.